Hello, lovely. Welcome back to Squeaky's Cauldron, or welcome if this is your first time here. I'm your host, Sarah Evergreen. I'm a witchy coach that does all sorts of fun stuff with magic. Thank you for visiting my corner of the internet. Today we're going to be talking about hidden altars, secret altars, altars for the people who are unable to create something big and grandiose or even small and obvious in their home and spaces. Now, I've gotten this question a few times from one of my clients as well as some people on YouTube in the comments section. I see you. And I wanted to address it because it's a very real thing. Despite the fact that magic and witchcraft has become a lot more acceptable and mainstream, that does not mean that we all have the immediate freedom to be open about who we are and what we believe. And I want to spend some time honoring that today and giving you some options about how you can still have an altar, a place to go and worship. I've got a number of different examples of hidden altars that you can use, but before we get there, I want to talk a bit about what an altar is, why you might want it. First of all, what is an altar? An altar, A-L-T-A-R, is a place you go to be altered, A-L-T-E-R-E-D. An altar is a place you go to be altered. This area that you go to, this place that you have set up, created in whatever fashion, is a place that you go to in order to enact change in yourself. And when you enact change in yourself, you enact change in the world around you. It's part of a sacred space. When you go into sacred space, your brain waves will actually change, going into alpha or theta states, which brings us closer to accessing our subconscious, which brings us closer to accessing the etheric world, magic, the energy all around us. But there are as many ways to create an altar as there are people to worship at an altar. Your altar is going to be completely unique to you, or at least it should be. Please don't go on Pinterest and copy piece for piece somebody's altar. That kind of defeats the point. This is your space of worship. This is your space of prayer. This is your space of altering. As such, it should connect to you specifically on as deep a level as possible. But having an out and proud altar is not accessible for everyone. And often I believe this comes with who you're living with. I want you to be safe. I want you to be sane. I want you to be able to practice without putting yourself in any kind of danger, whether that's physical or emotional danger. And in order to do that, you may have to hide your altar. Also, I want to make note that altars are not helpful for everyone. You don't need an altar in order to practice. If you have seen online or heard from someone that you absolutely need to build an altar and you're like experiencing this anxiety around, well, they said I need it, but I'm not really feeling it, go with that. You always know more than anybody else does what you need, what your practice needs, and you can trust that. You can trust you. If you don't feel like you need an altar, if you feel like an altar is kind of beside the point, let it go. Maybe you'll have one in the future, maybe you won't, but if in this moment it doesn't feel aligned, fuck it. Not important. For those of you that do want an altar and have to, keep that a bit more under wraps, here are a few fun options for you. And please do approach this with a sense of fun and not a sense of foreboding, because that's the energy you want to bring to your magic. Not like, I have to sneak around and it's horrible and awful, but like, oh, I get to be sneaky. Hey, this is so fun. This is cool. Let's see how I can, skirt around the edges and make this possible for myself without anybody knowing. I think that's really juicy energy. So yeah, play around with it, have fun with it. The first kind of altar that you can work with is like a tiny little altar in an Altoids tin or something similar to it. This is fantastic for subterfuge, and it's also great if you are a witch on the go. Whether you travel full time, like I have been, or you want to take your practice out into nature or into a different setting, having a little altar packed up within one of these little tins can be super duper helpful. So things that I would put in a tiny little altar are birthday candles. I absolutely love using birthday candles in my magic because they burn down pretty quickly and I don't have to sit for 3 hours with a tea light. They're also obviously super duper packable. You can get them in all sorts of colors. They're relatively inexpensive. You can find them in natural materials as well. And I like to keep with my birthday candles, I like to keep a little plate. This one is made of copper, just a tiny little thing so that I can set the candle up so that it has somewhere to stand while it's burning. And to do that, you just melt the bottom of the candle a little bit and stick it to the plate. And then you can put the plate wherever you want. Other things that are useful to have in it is like a little icon of some kind. I have this clay piece that I made for Hecate years ago. You can make your own icon or find one at a store somewhere. And then I've also got this Lilith piece that I made, this wood burning, that I love to put on my altars as well. Nice thing with this is that it's so thin that I can just slide it into the laptop pocket of my backpack and carry it anywhere. And it's also super light. So while it's not small enough to fit inside a tin, it is quite handy on the subterfuge level if that was what I needed to do. You can also put things like salt, feathers, stones, these kinds of really basic tools. Like if you're going to use a stone, I recommend clear quartz because it's very, very versatile. You can put little bits of herbs and spices like cinnamon or rosemary, two very versatile things that you can use in a lot of different ways in your witchcraft. And just pack it all in to your sweet little box, and you can decorate the inside of the box. Leave the outside as it was because, we are trying to be sneaky here. And yeah, that's all you really need because your witchcraft, your magic is in you. You don't need an altar. You don't need any of these pieces. It's in you. And I do know that it's really nice to have them. Other options, and this is something that a client of mine is working with, is creating altars through artwork. And this can be as obvious or as subliminal as you want. Something that whenever someone who is not of the witchy persuasion will look at it and think, that's a nice piece of art, or even that's a piece of art, or even that's a thing that this person created. Something that weaves in these different aspects, so whatever deities you're working with or energies that you want to work with, and does it in a way that kind of hides them. But you know, and that's the important part. You always know. You can even put in the different elements illustrated rather than having the dirt, having the incense, having the fire, having the water. You can create them into this piece of work that you're making. If you are not into actually creating a piece of art for yourself, another way that you can do this is through home decor. Now, how is creating an altar out of home decor different than just creating an altar? It's the subterfuge. It's the sneakiness. It's the how can I do this without looking like I'm doing this? There's so many options with how we decorate our homes. So it's not unusual. This is obviously an altar of a sort, but it's not unusual to have a display of something like this. For example, if you're doing ancestor worship, you can very easily have a framed picture of one of your ancestors on your home decor altar, and it doesn't look at all out of place because everybody's got pictures of grandma and grandpa. Well, not everybody, but that is a normal thing to do. You can also use different things that are from the seasons. It's not weird to have something that is very springy during the spring or very fall-like during the fall. And in this way, you can bring in the energy of what's happening in the cycles of nature right now into, this is just a nice, pretty thing to look at that doesn't hold any particular significance except to you. You will know. Another way to incorporate more magic and witchy into this kind of altar is you can paint or draw sigils onto any unexposed surface of whatever decor you're using, or you don't even have to make a mark on the decor. You can do this simply by using some kind of charged water or even just your finger to trace the sigil. And if you're interested in making sigils, I'm going to be making another video about how I do that very soon. So keep on tune. Go ahead and like and subscribe so you don't miss it. Other options are creating an outdoor altar, something that is not within your home space, something away from the people that you live with, the people that you are uncomfortable being out as a witch around. This can be your backyard, or if you want to get a little bit further out, it can be a park nearby, and it can be really simple still, because it can be temporary, which is another option. You can do temporary altars that you build and then break down when you're done with whatever work you're doing. And you can do this inside as well as outside, or you can create something a little bit more permanent in the outside world, particularly if you find a spot where people don't normally visit. I would recommend two things. One is a mindset thing. Know that it is possible that someone or something may encounter your altar and decide to destroy it for whatever reason. And with that mindset, know that if that happens, that is good. You can draw a lot of information from that. Maybe it means that it's time to change the altar. Maybe it means that that's the wrong space for it. Allow yourself to tap into your intuition around that. Grieve for the space, grieve for the energy that you put in, and also move forward from it. And try not to internalize anything that might happen to an outdoor altar as meaning something about that, this should never be tried and this was awful. Yeah, just allow it to fuel you so that you can move forward. You can also use your body as an altar. Now, I'm sure you've heard the phrase, my body is a temple. You can use your body as an altar. And the way to do this is through, there's so many levels. Tattoos can create a permanent altar on your body. However, I reckon if you're dealing with a more constrictive kind of living situation, a tattoo might not be your first option. Other ways to do this are through clothing, choosing specific colors that align with the deity or energy that you're working with, choosing particular designs that evoke the feeling of whatever magic you're doing or whatever worship you're doing. You can do this with scents, with perfumes. You can do this with your makeup, with your hair. You can even slip sigils into the bottom of your shoe, like put them on a piece of paper and then put them in your shoe and walk around with them. And then you're walking around on your magic all day, which is pretty rad. To learn more about creating sacred space, as well as ways of working with Lilith and magic, you will definitely want to check out the Lilith Factor. It is my 5-week Sex Magic 101 course, and it is sex magic like you've never seen before, practiced in a way that is holy, healthy, and super hot. So in order to keep up to date on when the next round of that is going to come out, do subscribe to my email list. It is squeakiescauldron.com/moonpages, or subscribe to this channel. I would recommend doing both because my newsletter is pretty fucking awesome. In the meantime, for more Lilith goodness, check out this Lilith affirmation meditation for a powerful infusion of sensual, independent energy. And until next time, my lovely, as always, take care of yourself and use your voice.